Shalom Aleichem to everyone, and a good Tavoch, Shavua Tov, as it was mentioned earlier. We began a very special week, because when we see what week we began, already from this Shabbat, we began the special week of the Geula, of the redemption, and the celebration of the redemption, of the Geula. Specifically, we're talking about the Geula of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson. And in general, this has to do, it's part and parcel of the general Geula, the general coming of the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, which will be, and as we believe and as we're told by the Rebbe, immediately now. And every moment that goes by, the previous moment was supposed to be the moment that the Rebbe was supposed to be, the Melech HaMoshiach was supposed to be revealed. Mikol Mokem, nevertheless, when we're talking about stories, there are incredible, immense stories. But this past Shabbos, as we were celebrating the celebration of the Geula, of the redemption, also celebrating the celebration of yours truly, my birthday, which was actually yesterday, Motzei Shabbos, but we make a Hasidic gathering the Shabbat before the birthday. So there was one story that I had the schus, thank you, I had the schus to be able to hear twice during the Shabbat. And therefore, everything that we see and hear is by divine providence, Ashgacha Protis. And the fact that this story I heard twice, apparently is a sign that I have to share it with others. And the story as it goes is as follows. The following story is a story that was told by Rabbi Yisrael of Ruzhin, the famous Ruzhiner Rov, and it's important to stress that it was told by Rabbi Yisrael Ruzhin, because there are heavenly revelations in the story that only a person who is a heavenly person would be able to know the details of. And as the story goes, there was one in the times of where the Hasidim were not actually fully accepted by all the congregations of Israel, especially by the Lithuanian school of thought, for one reason or another. Basically, the main reason was that they didn't receive, or they didn't accept a thorough explanation in regard to Hasidic philosophy and what it is actually, what it stands for, and the teachings of Hasidic philosophy. But after the fact, in the times where there were great disputes, to say the least, there was a young individual. He was just getting married, and he was right after his wedding, his father-in-law comes, and his father-in-law was a very well-to-do person in the town, and he went and he strolled around town in order to go and to point out the different places in the town. It was a very special situation where, the Talmidei Chachamim, the Torah scholars, they would be accepted by very well-to-do families in order for them to be able to go and to marry one of the daughters, because this was something very honorable, very respectable for the family. And the family would actually even take on the young man for maybe 10 years in order for this person to be able to sit and to study Torah quietly, tranquilly, without worries of parnasa, without worries of livelihood. And this factor was a dependency, so to speak, which was going in both directions. The family wanted very much the son-in-law, the Torah scholar, and the Torah scholar wanted to be able to go and to get married, to be to join a well-to-do family, a family that was a God-fearing family, and the fact that he would be able to continue his studies, being supported by the family. At this point, the father-in-law goes and shows this is the synagogue, and this is the community center, and this is the soup kitchen that we have here to support those that need the support during the week, and then on Shabbos and Yom Tov, place to eat. And they're going to the outskirts already of town, and he points to a structure, a building, small building. And he says, and this is a building that you are not to enter at all. Wow. Furthermore, the father-in-law says, if I ever hear about the fact that you entered this building, so then you see yourself cut off from our family. We have nothing furthermore to do with you. The son-in-law was totally amazed. What in the world? What kind of a place is this? Like, why exactly is he forbidden? The father-in-law saw that he was surprised, and he told him, this is the klois, this is the study center of the Hasidic sect. He didn't even say the Hasidic. He said the sect. That's where they study, and therefore it's off limits. We don't place our foot there. That's the way it was in those days. Okay, the son-in-law understood. He wasn't a Chassid. He wasn't a Hasidic follower. And besides the fact that he wasn't a Hasidic follower, he didn't really see any reason for him to go and to walk into there. Why should he? What is it of his interest? Anyway, he sat and he studied, and he studied with great vigor, and his family received great respect and honor that they had such a son-in-law. The people of the town enjoyed and felt good with him. And came one day, and he was studying, and there was something in the Talmud that was not clear to him. It was very difficult. So in the study hall of the township, he went from one person to the next, and he inquired, listen, I'm at this point in the Talmud, and it's I don't understand. Maybe you can help me out. And he went to one person, another person, the third. He went to all the people in the study center, and no one was able to answer his question. So they said to him, listen, the rabbi of the town is going to be coming in a little while in order to daven mincha, to pray the afternoon service. So usually he comes a little early. Listen, maybe you'll be able to ask him your question. He certainly will have an answer to your question. He said, fine. He went. He went back to his table. He waited, and sure enough, the rabbi showed up, and he came early. So the young married man approached the rabbi, and he asked him his question that he had. The rabbi, unfortunately, didn't have an answer to the question of the young man, but the rabbi did not feel comfortable, unfortunately, he didn't feel comfortable going and telling the young married man that just arrived in town that he doesn't have an answer for him. What did the rabbi do? He went and he put together some type of a logical answer that he would be able to stick to the question that the young married man asked. And he went and he answered whatever came up in his mind at that point. And the young married man wasn't wasn't satisfied with the answer. As a matter of fact, the young married man didn't want to question the rabbi, but he felt that the rabbi's answer was not an answer, which was true. Anyway, the young married man, after the prayers of mincha, after the afternoon service, he went out to go and to have a stroll, and he actually went into a few homes where he knew people were sitting and studying, and he asked them the question. No one was able, from all the people that he encountered, no one was able to answer his question. Until finally, as he was strolling, he came where? He came to the outskirts of town. And what was there? He found himself right in front of the building of the Hasidic sect. Wow. Here he knew that he saw that the lights were red. They were flashing red, and it was written there, "Danger, danger," as in his eyes. He felt that it was already, it was a dangerous situation. He didn't know what to do. But as he came to the place, so he said, "Okay, listen, he's not allowed to enter. That's one thing, but at the same time, he can listen from outside." He stood outside next to the window. And this young married man, all of a sudden, he hears the person that's giving a shiur, giving a class in Talmud, that this person is giving the class exactly in the place where he had his question. So he listened a little more attentively, because he knew that in another moment, they're going to come exactly to the place where his question was so relevant. And as the rabbi that was giving the class comes to the place where he had this unbelievable question that no one in town, even the rabbi of the town, was not able to give him a reply, he hears the most sweetest of tunes, and the rabbi teaches the clause in Talmud where this young married man got stuck. He teaches it in a manner that it just flowed, with nothing to stop it. No questions asked. He himself didn't have any questions about, after he heard the rabbi teach the Talmud the way he taught. He didn't even have a question anymore, because everything was resolved. He was so happy, and the sweetness of the way that the rabbi was teaching there was so attractive that he couldn't help himself, and he wasn't going to allow himself to go into the door of the building. It was off limits, as we mentioned, but at the same time he waited outside. And when everyone came out of the class, the rabbi also came out. He stopped the rabbi outside at the opening of the door, and he said, "Rabbi, I enjoyed your class very much." He said, "Well, thank you very much." He said, "You don't understand. The part of the Talmud that you just taught is a part that I was learning." And he explained to him that he got stuck, and when he heard the rabbi's teaching, everything was so beautiful, so bliss, that everything was resolved. There were no questions. So the rabbi said, "Listen, I appreciate you saying so, but you should know that everything that I know and everything that I've learned and everything that I teach is coming from my master, from my rabbi." Who is your rabbi? At that time, the rabbi was one of the head Hasidim, the Hasidic followers of the great Magid, Rabbi of the great Dovber of Mezrich, and the name of the Chassid was Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Horodok, Mendel Horodoker. That was his nickname, and he said, if my class was so interesting and my class was so sweet, so what I would recommend to you is that you should go and you should travel to hear the teachings of my rabbi, of Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Horodok, who is, by the way, whoever knows, he is a neighbor of ours. We are in Tzfas, in Safed. Rav Menachem Mendel Horodoker is his office is in Tiberias. His where he's buried, or his office is in Tiberias. Okay, so the young married man says, "Listen, I would like to travel there to hear something, but I don't have any money to travel." He was living off his father-in-law, and so the teacher said, "Listen, every month we have a raffle, and there is someone that wins the raffle, and we organize a horse and a buggy, a wagon, and this person that won the raffle is able to go to the Rebbe, to Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Horodok." So here I'll tell you something. If you don't want anyone to find out, as he mentioned, because if his father-in-law found out, so that would be the end. So he said, when there is someone that is going to win the raffle, so I'll notify you, and you'll be able to travel with the person that won the raffle in his wagon to Horodok, to Rav Menachem Mendel of Horodok. He said, "Listen, okay, if that's feasible, if that's possible, so it's agreeable for me." And so, in the next month, the person that won the raffle, and the young married man was notified, and the young married man got on the wagon and with the horse, and he disappeared from town for a good week or two. Wow, a person disappears from town. Everyone was aware of the fact that if a person disappeared from town, so it was only for one reason, that he connected with the sect, that he connected with the Hasidim, and therefore when this person was missing, so the father-in-law already had in mind what's going to be the end of his new married son-in-law. As it had been, when they arrived over there by Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Horodok, he was hosted by one of the families of the Hasidim, but unfortunately, the Hasidim were not very wealthy, and they didn't really have ways to refrigerate their food, and therefore the food was not always that fresh. Now, for the Hasidim that were eating the food, they were already used to it. Their the digestive system was already used to this type of food. But this young married man that was used to sitting and eating by his father-in-law, the well-to-do family in the neighboring town, they only knew the best, and his body was very sensitive. So when he ate the food there, he came down with the disease, and he became very sick. And the fact that he became very sick was one thing, but in this town, apparently, there wasn't a doctor, and initially a person's not even supposed to live in a town without a doctor. So what did they do? They went and they sent to the father-in-law that he should send a doctor to this other town to help his son-in-law to be revived, because otherwise he is going to find a certain death, God forbid. The father-in-law heard and he said, "What? He wants me to send a doctor?" And his daughter is crying and asking, Father, you must send a doctor. Her husband is going to die." He says, "I'm not going to send him any doctor. What are you crazy? He went to the sect. It's better that he should die." God forbid. But then the daughter went and cried so much. He said, "Okay, you know what? I'll ask the rabbi of the town. He goes and he asks the rabbi of the town. The rabbi of the town says, listen, on one hand, he did what he did, but at the same time, it's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to go and to save the life of a Jew. And therefore, it'll be agreeable that you send a doctor on one condition, that he gives you a tikiyas kaf, that's a handshake, that he will no longer befriend the Hasidic sect. And if that's agreeable upon him, so then you can send the doctor. And they went with the doctor. The son-in-law, seeing that he had no other option, he gave his handshake to the father-in-law, and the doctor was able to heal the son-in-law. He came back to the town, and he sat and he studied. He continued his studies, but then the next month, it was told to him, listen, there's someone that won the raffle, and he's going with the horse and the wagon, and it's possible to make place for you in the wagon. So he felt such an attraction to the studies of Hasidic philosophy and the teachings of Menachem Mendel of Horodok, which is the teachings of the Maggid of Mezrich, the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, the holy Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. He felt that he had to go, even though he already agreed with a handshake that he's not going to go anymore. He disappeared from the face of the earth for another 2 weeks, and unfortunately, he ate the same food, and he again became very sick. There's no doctor. So again, they went and they notified the father-in-law and the wife that their son-in-law needs a doctor. The father-in-law said, "What? He is asking for a doctor from me? He gave me a handshake that he's not going to go to the Hasidic sect anymore. He's not going to get a doctor from me. No way." And then the daughter again cried, and he said, "No, there's no way that he's going to get a doctor from me." And then he went and he asked his rabbi, because what is he going to do? He's not going to go and take such a serious situation on his own shoulders. The rabbi said, "Listen, what did he do? He repeated his so-called sin, his crime. He went to the Hasidic sect." He said, "Yeah." He says, "And he gave you his handshake that he's not going to do it anymore." He said, "Yeah." "And he became sick and he's on the verge of death." He said, "Yeah." He says, "I don't see any way that you could allow yourself to go and send him a doctor," which is an amazingly non-logical reply from the rabbi. But this is what the rabbi told the father-in-law, and this is what the father-in-law did. He didn't send a doctor. They didn't know what to do with him, and his situation got worse until finally, Rahman Litzlan, Hashem should watch over us, he died. His soul went up to heaven. And then he's standing in front of the supernal court, and the supernal court asked him, "How did you get here?" And he said that he went to learn by the Hasidim, but at the same time he became sick. He ate and he became sick. He was it was not his fault, and they sent for a doctor, but the father-in-law wasn't willing to sponsor a doctor, and at the end he died. So they said, "But wait a second, but didn't you give a handshake to your father-in-law that you're not going to go to the Hasidim anymore?" He said, "Yeah, I did. I have to tell the truth. I'm in front of the supernal court. There's no other way around it." So they say, "Listen, this is a very, very serious case. We'll have to wait until your father-in-law's soul comes up to heaven, and then we'll be able to go and to judge both of you, because a judgment, a judge is not supposed to judge two plaintiffs unless both of them are standing present in front of them. So when the father-in-law's soul come up, we'll be able to judge you, both of you. A few years later, the father-in-law passes away. His soul goes up to heaven, and then he's standing in front of the supernal court, and they ask him the same questions. Listen, why didn't you send him a doctor? Didn't you know that he was on the verge of death? He said, yes, I knew, but at the same time, he gave me his handshake that he's not going to go to the Hasidim anymore. Yes, but nevertheless, the life we're talking about the life of a Jew. How can you just stand by and allow a Jew to die? So he said, listen, I didn't take it on my own shoulders. I went and asked my rabbi. My rabbi instructed me to do so. The supernal court heard, and they said, in this case, since it's such a very severe situation, we'll have to wait till your rabbi, the soul of your rabbi comes up, in order to be able to go and to judge all three of you at the same time. A few years later, the soul of the rabbi passes away, and the soul of the rabbi goes up to heaven. And they're all standing in front of the supernal court, and the rabbi is asked, listen, in light of all the above details, the circumstances, how did you not allow the father-in-law to go and to send a doctor to save the son-in-law? So the rabbi said, listen, I would have allowed it, but it was already the second time. And the second time after, the son-in-law went and gave his shake of the hand, which according to Torah is a transition of a word, and therefore he broke his word, and therefore he judged, or he said that he doesn't deserve to have a doctor, and whatever will happen will happen. The supernal court was dumbfounded by the answer of the rabbi, but at the same time they were also in a situation where the facts stood for themselves. They let the son-in-law the son-in-law die, but at the same time the son-in-law took it upon himself, and this was his responsibility, his obligation, and he gave his handshake. And therefore, what were they supposed to do in this case? The supernal court said, we can't judge the situation. We can't judge the situation. So what do you do in such a situation? We have to bring it to the chambers of Moshiach. The chambers, the Heichal Mashiach. This is the chamber, the spiritual chambers, that Mashiach himself sits. And he teaches and he learns and he also judges. When the souls were brought in front of Mashiach to the chamber of Mashiach, Mashiach greeted them, and he heard the stories of each and every one, the son-in-law, the father-in-law, and the rabbi. And Mashiach looked at the son-in-law and he said, listen, you are a surpriser. You act and you behaved in a very surprising manner. And I'm also a surpriser, Mashiach said about himself, because it states that Mashiach pitoim yovei, when Mashiach arrives, immediately now, he'll come all of a sudden, without any notice, or without the people being aware of the fact that here and now, at this split second, Mashiach was meant to come. So Mashiach put out his hand. In other words, it's the same connotation to the hand that the son-in-law gave, the handshake that son-in-law gave to his father-in-law, Mashiach himself put out his hand and he said, give me your hand and you will sit with me here in the chambers of Mashiach, because you are a surpriser and I am a surpriser. This is the place for you. This is what Rabbi Yisrael Ruzhin told. This is the story that he told about this Torah scholar. He didn't say what happened with the souls of the father-in-law and the rabbi, and we won't speculate. But nevertheless, Moshiach went and he literally expressed the fact that even though maybe the behavior, the conduct of the son-in-law wasn't that logical and it wasn't that intellectual comprehended according to the dry facts of Torah, he did what he was supposed to do. And he did it with his full heart. And when he did it in order to go and to learn the teachings of Hasidic philosophy, of which we are taught, these are parallel, part and parcel of the teachings of Mashiach himself, that Mashiach is going to teach us. Immediately now, when he is revealed to our eyes of flesh and blood, the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, thus we understand that everything is worthwhile in order to be able to sit down and to learn Hasidic philosophy, to learn the teachings of Hasidus, to learn the teachings of Mashiach, the teachings of the Geulah, of the redemption. And therefore, we have our understanding of what we're supposed to do. Now all we have to do is just do it. As the famous saying goes, even in the secular world. And the main thing is, Hamaisu Aiker, we should have the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach on a good and revealed basis with happiness and joy of the heart, and it should be immediately now with tranquility of the mind and the heart on a revealed basis. Yechi Adoneinu Mereinu V'Rabbeinu HaMelech HaMoshiach Chai V'Kayom Le'olam Voed. Amen.